Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to Indaba Africa. This is Chris. Today's topic is not actually focused on Africa, but rather taking a look at Germany, where one of the major news magazines, Der Spiegel, ran an article on the 7th of June 2020. This article was written by a Mohamed and the title of the article was Die neue deutsche Feindlichkeit, or the new German hostility. Now, this report is focusing on events that have been taking place since January of 2019. Specifically, the German Interior Minister, Horst Seehofer, issued a report on the 1st of January 2019 about politically motivated crimes in Germany. And the category of hostile to German had been added at that time and is now part of the record. It included 132 crimes and 22 violent crimes amongst them, specifically targeted at Germans. Now, Amjahid asked two very important questions in his article, which appears, as I mentioned, in Der Spiegel from the 7th of June 2020. This is the article here. Yes. So the first question he asked is, why did the Ministry of the Interior and the Bundeskriminalamt, the equivalent of the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, but the Bundeskriminalamt, why did they consider it necessary to record anti-German crimes? Well, I can make it very simple for you. The role of the Ministry of the Interior and the Bundeskriminalamt is to protect the German public. That includes Germans as well as those who are non-German living in Germany. So when people direct crimes against Germans because they're German, the government ought to be classifying that as a crime. If a German is murdered because they're German for that reason and it's not a crime, that's bizarre. And the second question that Amjahid asked is, what kind of offense are they supposed to be? Well, there are felonies and misdemeanors. Take your pick. He says also in his article that the concept of hostility towards Germans is potentially or politically charged. And in fact, I would agree with him. Jahid is correct. It is a politically charged topic and term specifically. But why is that? Well, specifically, it's because authors like yourself, sir, you have written this article and focused exclusively on this being something from the extreme right. It's not from the right. It's from the center. When someone commits a crime, it's a crime, regardless of who it's against. But this leftist love affair with denying that racism exists across the planet and hatred is in the heart of many people, regardless of their ethnic origins or race, is just simply fantasy. And that's what he's attempting to do here. By intentionally equating the issue of hostility to German with these very real crimes with extreme right groups, it's an effort on his part to deny them and to delegitimize the issue by shaming people into not wanting to address the issue lest they be associated with extreme right groups. Now, who supports this sort of nonsense? Well, let's talk about a member of the Bundestag, a member of Die Linke, the leftist, the extreme leftist party in Germany founded in 2007, and that would be Miss Martina Renner from Mainz-Gonsenheim, a place where American troops kept her family from being overrun by Soviet hordes for 5 decades. That's right, Mainz-Gonsenheim, the home of the infantry division's infantry battalions located there. Mainz-Gonsenheim. Well, she's a member of the Bundestag since 2013 and represents Thüringen, or Thüringen, in the eastern part of Germany, the former East Germany, or ehemaligen DDR, former German Democratic Republic. She's horrified that the government would classify crimes against Germans, of which she is one, ostensibly, that the government classify those as crimes when people attack people for being German. Specifically, she said, xenophobia is a right concept of struggle of something that does not exist. Racism against whites. Excuse me? Come again? Really? Have you ever lived in Africa, Mr. Renner? Have you ever lived in a housing project in which you were the minority and your skin color happened to be different than others there? I suspect you never have. But to make the ludicrous claim that there's no such thing as racism against whites is insane. Just as there is racism against blacks, against Asians, against mixed race people, there's also racism directed against white people. And to deny it is delusional. She says that the federal government, the German federal government, is making itself a vicarious agent of the extreme right. Well, what exactly are you making yourself a vicarious agent of? Well, we'll talk about that in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. What exactly is behind Ms. Renner's motivation? Now, Martina Renner also says that this is an effort to divert attention from the actual problem, namely racism. Come again? Divert attention from racism? How can you call a racist crime an effort to divert attention from racism. It doesn't make any logical sense. It cannot. The problem is Ms. Renner, Martina Renner, is very confused as to what racism actually is. Now, hostility towards foreigners and hate crimes are real, as are anti-German crimes in Germany. The shameful, dismissive attitude of these elite, self-loathing, privileged fellow travelers is mind-boggling, ladies and gentlemen. Middle-income and low-income Germans, as well as pensioners across Germany, can attest to hostility directed at them from non-Germans living in their midst. The claims of moral high ground on this issue are quite rich coming from the political left in Germany. This, of course, is a society that at the end of the Second World War rejected and neglected 13 million ethnic Germans who were expelled from the former Eastern European German territories, places where Germans had lived for 1,000 years, such as Schlesien, Silesia, Pommern, Pomerania, Ostpreußen, the Baltic states of Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia, as well as Hungary, Yugoslavia, Romania. The list goes on, ladies and gentlemen, and the 2.5 million or 3 million Sudetenland Germans and Moravian Germans who were expelled from places that their families had lived for nearly 1,000 years in some cases as a consequence of the end of the Second World War and agreements that were made by the Allies. Not to mention the horrific crimes inflicted on those ethnic Germans by people in Eastern Europe. When they arrived in what became East Germany and West Germany, very few Germans had any interest in taking care of them. They were discriminated against. They were denied. These were ethnic German, ladies and gentlemen. People who spoke German, people who had German faith, German identity. The poem, which became the national anthem for Germany, Deutschland über alles, wasn't about Germany resting or sitting atop the world. It was about uniting Germans who had a common language under a common nationality of Germanness. And here we are in the 21st century, we have bizarre, ludicrous comments from politicians elected to the Bundestag, like Ms. Renner, in which she denies that racism directed against Germans can exist, when in fact it does exist. Very sad, very sad. So let's talk about Ms. Renner. So famously, Ms. Renner has been active on Twitter. In fact, on the 31st of May, she self-identified herself as a terrorist. At least that's what her Twitter says. On the 31st of May, President Donald Trump indicated that Antifa would finally be declared as a terrorist organization, a designation many argue was long overdue. On the same day, in English, mind you, not in German, and not with the German logo, because there is a German logo for Antifa, but in English, with asterisks on both sides, multiple asterisks, she proudly declared on her Twitter account that I am Antifa, we are Antifa, in English, mind you. One cannot help but shake their head at such things. This, ladies and gentlemen, is yet another example of how fellow travelers are seeking to obscure and deny the reality happening in the world today. People are discriminated against based on their ethnicity, their religion, their sexuality, their gender, and their so-called race. A manufactured human condition, race. We're all Homo sapiens with DNA. The fact that people can mate and reproduce, regardless of their appearance, is evidence that we're the same species. Those who are confused by that may want to look elsewhere. Ms. Renner seems to be confused by the concept that people can have hate in their heart regardless of their ethnic origins or their skin appearance. Having family members who've been verbally assaulted with racial epithets and vile language by non-Germans living in Germany, I can verify that this sort of thing happens. And for her to deny it is shameful and disrespectful to the 70 plus million Germans who live in Germany today, with about 12 million foreign nationals living amongst them. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a discussion about their Spiegel article on the new German hostility, specifically the issue discussing whether racism can be directed against Germans. I hope you find the content interesting or at least thought-provoking. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel by smashing that subscription button right down there. Be sure to toggle the bell icon so you get notified of all my live streams, my prepared videos, and my regularly scheduled live stream programs, as well as special features. You're welcome to leave comments. I'll read them and respond to them if I can. I thank you for your time, and I ask finally, just smash that like button right down there as it drives viewership. Have a pleasant day, ladies and gentlemen.